The Galactic Council chamber buzzes with barely concealed mockery as the human delegation requests military aid. For 3 cycles, the Terran coalition has been desperately defending against the Cravathi Dominion, a mid-tier expansionist empire that has claimed 17 human colony worlds. The council members exchange knowing glances. Humanity, the newest spacefaring species, has been at war for only 3 years and is losing badly. Their primitive kinetic weapons and fusion drives are no match for Cravathi plasma lances and quantum shields. Ambassador Victoria Hayes stands before the council, her composure unwavering despite the snickers from the Vrelnari trade minister and the dismissive wave from the Quilxar military advisor. She formally requests a defensive coalition, offering trade concessions and territorial agreements. The council chair, a towering Helthorian named Casmer, delivers their verdict with barely hidden amusement. Humanity must prove their worth. 1 human vessel will be permitted to join the Council's enforcement fleet at the Kelvin Reach, where the Cravathi are currently besieging a neutral mining colony. If humanity can contribute meaningfully, the Council will reconsider. If not, humanity should surrender to the Cravathi and accept vassalage. Hayes accepts without hesitation. The Council expects a desperate show of Earth's newest destroyer, perhaps a futile gesture before inevitable defeat. What they don't know is that humanity has been preparing for exactly this moment. Aboard the orbital defense station above Mars, Fleet Admiral Gregory Stone reviews the activation protocols for the TCS Midnight Sun. The ship has been in development since humanity first encountered hostile alien contact 4 years ago, built in absolute secrecy within the hollowed core of Deimos. While the Terran coalition fought the Cravathi with converted colony ships and hastily militarized freighters, humanity's best scientists and engineers worked around the clock on something the galaxy had never seen. The Midnight Sun is not large by galactic standards, measuring only 800 meters in length compared to the kilometer-plus dreadnoughts favored by elder species. But what it lacks in size, it compensates for in revolutionary design. Its hull incorporates metamaterial armor that can shift density and reflectivity on command. Its power core is a controlled quantum singularity, providing energy output that should be impossible for a vessel its size. And its weapon systems represent humanity's greatest achievement, a synthesis of theoretical physics, materials science, and Earth's long history of making very efficient ways to destroy things. Captain Daniel Cross, a veteran of the Outer Rim skirmishes and the defense of New Geneva, takes command. His crew of 300 represents humanity's finest, volunteers who have spent the last year training in simulation after simulation, preparing for scenarios the rest of the fleet never imagined. They know what the Midnight Sun can do. They know what humanity expects of them. And they know that failure means Earth itself will be next on the Cravathi conquest list. The ship launches in darkness, using gravitational slingshots and minimal thrust to avoid detection as it crosses the solar system. By the time it reaches the outer marker buoys, it is virtually invisible to conventional sensors, a ghost ship sliding through the void toward the Kelvin Reach. The Galactic Council enforcement fleet gathers in high orbit around Kelvin Prime, a formation of 60 warships from a dozen different species. The Helthorians provide their heavy cruisers, slow but nearly indestructible. The Quilxar contribute fast attack frigates with experimental energy weapons. The Vrelnari, ever pragmatic, send their merchant conversion carriers loaded with automated drones. It is an impressive display of unified force, designed to convince the Cravathi to withdraw without actual combat. On the bridge of the Helthorian flagship Eternal Resolve, Fleet Commander Casmer monitors the situation with growing frustration. The Cravathi have brought their own fleet, 40 vessels arranged in a defensive screen around their siege platforms. Both sides are waiting, testing, neither willing to fire the first shot and trigger a wider war. The Council fleet could win, but casualties would be significant. The Cravathi know this and are counting on the Council's reluctance to accept losses for a neutral colony. Into this tense standoff drops the Midnight Sun. It arrives not with the dramatic flash of a quantum jump or the gravitational ripple of a warp transition, but with the subtle shimmer of a ship decloaking at the edge of sensor range. For several minutes, the Council fleet sensors struggle to classify it. The configuration is unknown. The energy signature is strange, and the transmissions are in the primitive binary code that humans still use for basic communications. Captain Cross opens a channel to the Eternal Resolve and announces the Midnight Sun's presence as Earth's contribution to the enforcement fleet. Across the Council ships, the reaction is uniform: disbelief, then mockery. The Quilxar tactical officer actually laughs over the open comm channel. The Vrelnari war coordinator asks if humanity is sending a scout ship to take notes for their inevitable surrender. Even Casmer, who maintains professional courtesy, cannot hide his disappointment. He had expected humanity to at least send one of their larger vessels, not this undersized curiosity. On the Cravathi side, War Sovereign Thalrek views the human arrival with cold calculation. His intelligence reports indicate that humanity's fleet is nearly depleted, their shipyards struggling to replace losses faster than his forces can inflict them. This single ship represents either desperation or delusion, neither of which concerns him. He orders his fleet to maintain position and instructs his sensor operators to monitor the human vessel for tactical data. Every scan, every communication, every maneuver will be recorded and analyzed. When the Cravathi finally crush the Terran coalition, this data will ensure their victory is swift and absolute. The standoff continues for 18 hours. The Council fleet holds formation, unwilling to strike first. The Cravathi siege platforms continue their methodical bombardment of Kelvin Prime's defense grid, grinding down the colony's shields degree by degree. On the surface, millions of civilians huddle in shelters, waiting to see if the galaxy will save them or abandon them to occupation. Thalrek grows impatient. His analysts have thoroughly scanned the human vessel and found nothing remarkable. Its armor appears adequate but conventional. Its power signature, while unusual, falls within expected parameters for a ship of its class. Its weapons are not even visible, likely concealed behind retractable hull panels as many species prefer. The Cravathi have faced and defeated dozens of species with similar designs. This will be no different. He decides to test the Council's resolve and eliminate the human nuisance in one action. 6 Cravathi destroyers break formation and accelerate toward the Midnight Sun, weapons charging. It is a calculated provocation. If the Council fleet responds, they fire first and become the aggressors. If they don't respond, the humans die and the Council's weakness is exposed. Either outcome serves the Dominion. Casmer watches the developing situation with grim resignation. He cannot order his fleet to engage without Council authorization, and obtaining such authorization will take hours that the human ship doesn't have. He opens a channel to the Midnight Sun, intending to offer regrets and a promise to record the sacrifice in the Council archives. Before he can speak, Captain Cross's voice cuts across the comm. The captain's tone is calm, almost casual. He thanks the fleet commander for the concern, but assures him it is unnecessary. The Midnight Sun will handle the incoming threat. Then Cross does something that shocks every species on the Council fleet. He requests that all friendly vessels move to a minimum safe distance of 50,000 kilometers and ensure their radiation shielding is at maximum. The way he says it, like a construction foreman warning about a controlled demolition, sends a chill through the professional warriors listening. The 6 Cravathi destroyers close to firing range, their plasma lances beginning to glow with accumulated charge. They move in a coordinated attack pattern, surrounding the Midnight Sun from multiple vectors to prevent escape. Thalrek watches through the tactical display, confident in his ship's superiority. The human vessel hasn't moved, hasn't raised shields, hasn't even rotated to present a defensive aspect. Either their systems are frozen in terror or their crew is too inexperienced to react. Either way, they will serve as an excellent demonstration. At 2,000 kilometers, the Cravathi destroyers achieve firing solution and release their salvo. 24 plasma lances streak through space, each carrying enough energized matter to vaporize a city block. The beams converge on the midnight sun from 6 different angles, a precisely coordinated strike designed to overwhelm any point defense system. The midnight sun's metamaterial hull shifts configuration in microseconds. The outer layer becomes a perfect mirror, reflecting 98% of the plasma's energy back into space in a blinding flash that temporarily blinds every optical sensor watching. The remaining 2% is absorbed and channeled directly into the ship's power core, actually strengthening the quantum singularity. The entire salvo might as well have struck a photograph of the ship for all the damage it caused. Before the Cravathi can process what just happened, the midnight sun responds. Hull panels slide open along its central axis, revealing weapons that look wrong to every species observing. They are not energy projectors or missile tubes or mass drivers. They are sleek, dark barrels with strange geometric patterns along their length, and they are aimed with absolute precision at each attacking destroyer. Captain Cross gives one order: fire. The weapons are humanity's masterwork, railguns accelerated by quantum field manipulation to velocities approaching 1/10 light speed. The projectiles are not simple metal slugs, but precision-engineered penetrators with metamaterial tips and quantum-locked cores. They cross the distance to their targets in less than a second. The Cravathi shields, designed to deflect energy weapons and absorb kinetic impacts, encounter something they were never built to handle: solid matter moving with relativistic momentum and possessing quantum properties that allow it to partially phase through conventional barriers. The first destroyer simply ceases to exist. The penetrator punches through its bow shield, passes through 3 decks of armor and structure, and exits through the reactor containment at the stern. The resulting antimatter detonation creates a miniature star that consumes the entire vessel in nuclear fire. The second destroyer takes a hit to its engineering section and breaks apart in a silent explosion of atmosphere and debris. The third, fourth, and fifth destroyers suffer similar fates within 2 seconds of each other. The sixth destroyer's captain manages to activate emergency thrusters and attempts to evade, but the Midnight Sun's targeting computer predicts the maneuver and adjusts. The final penetrator takes the destroyer through its command deck, killing the bridge crew instantly and leaving the ship tumbling powerless into the void. Elapsed time from first shot to last kill: 4.3 seconds. The Council fleet sits in absolute silence. Every sensor array, every tactical computer, every combat analysis system is screaming warnings and recalculating threat assessments. The mathematics are clear and terrifying. A single human ship just destroyed 6 Cravathi destroyers without sustaining damage, without maneuvering, and with a weapons system that none of them had even theorized was possible. Aboard the Eternal Resolve, Casimir stares at his tactical display as if it has personally betrayed him. His sensors insist that the human ship's energy output should have been depleted after firing weapons of that magnitude. Instead, the readings show the Midnight Sun's power core operating at higher efficiency than before the engagement. His weapons officer, a grizzled Helthorian veteran of 40 campaigns, quietly suggests that they recalibrate the sensors because the readings must be in error. Casimir knows better. The readings are accurate. Everything the Council thought they knew about human capabilities is what was in error. The Quilxar Fast Attack Squadron commander requests permission to withdraw to a safer distance. The Vrelnari War Coordinator begins frantically updating their threat assessment protocols. Across the Council fleet, officers who moments ago were mocking humanity now find themselves checking their own defensive systems and wondering if their shields could withstand weapons like the ones they just witnessed. On the Cravathi flagship, Thalric experiences something he has not felt in decades of conquest: uncertainty. His tactical advisors are arguing among themselves, unable to agree on how the human weapons functioned or how to counter them. His intelligence officers are reviewing every scrap of data collected on human technology, searching for any hint that this capability existed. They find nothing. Humanity has been fighting the Cravathi for 3 years with primitive kinetic weapons and fusion warheads. Either they have been hiding this technology the entire time, allowing their colonies to burn while preparing a trap, or they developed it so quickly and so secretly that even the Cravathi intelligence network missed it entirely. Both possibilities are disturbing. Captain Cross opens a channel to the Cravathi fleet, his voice carrying across the void with the same unsettling calm. He identifies himself as representing the Terran coalition and states that humanity is now formally allied with the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. Any Cravathi vessel that remains in Kelvin space after 1 hour will be considered a hostile combatant and destroyed. He recommends immediate withdrawal. Then he closes the channel and waits. Thalrek has 2 choices. He can withdraw, accepting the humiliation and reporting to the Dominion that a single human ship defeated 6 destroyers and forced a retreat, or he can commit his entire fleet, gambling that superior numbers can overwhelm whatever technology the humans possess. He calculates the odds. 40 Cravathi vessels against 1 human ship should be favorable, but the equations keep returning impossible results. If the human ship can sustain that rate of fire, if those weapons have that much penetrating power, if that defensive system can actually absorb energy attacks and convert them to power, then numbers might not matter. The entire Cravathi fleet could die in the attempt, and even if they destroy the human ship through attrition, the Dominion would lose too much for a single colony world. The war sovereign gives the order to withdraw. His fleet breaks orbit and jumps to quantum space in a coordinated retreat that, to every observer, looks exactly like a rout. The siege platforms are abandoned, their crews evacuating in whatever transports they can reach. Within 20 minutes, Kelvin space is empty of Cravathi presence for the first time in 6 weeks. The Council fleet remains in formation, now surrounding the midnight sun at a respectful distance. Casimir reopens communications with Captain Cross, and this time his tone carries none of the earlier condescension. He formally requests a meeting to discuss operational coordination and tactical capabilities. Cross agrees and offers to beam over to the Eternal Resolve, then mentions casually that the Midnight Sun is equipped with personnel transport systems that the Council might find interesting. The implication is clear. Humanity has more surprises. During the meeting in the Eternal Resolve's conference chamber, Cross explains what the Council is now facing. The Midnight Sun is not humanity's only advanced vessel. It is the first of a planned fleet, with 3 more ships currently in various stages of construction and another 10 authorized for production. Each vessel incorporates the same revolutionary technologies: quantum singularity power cores, metamaterial adaptive hulls, relativistic kinetic weapons, and defensive systems that convert enemy fire into useful energy. But Cross reveals something even more significant. The technology did not come from lucky discoveries or ancient alien artifacts. It came from humanity's own research and development, from the combination of Earth's scientific knowledge and the unique human approach to warfare. Humans, Cross explains, have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history. They have refined the art of destruction to a degree that most peaceful species find disturbing. When humanity encountered hostile alien contact, they did not waste time appealing to galactic authorities or seeking diplomatic solutions. They immediately began designing better ways to destroy their enemies. The Council representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. They had assumed humanity's primitive weapons were the result of limited technological development. The truth is more unsettling. Humanity's earlier weapons were primitive because humanity was new to space and lacked the resources to build better ones immediately. But they were learning, adapting, and improving at a rate the galaxy had never witnessed. 3 years ago, humanity had fusion drives and kinetic cannons. Today, they have quantum singularity cores and relativistic railguns. The Quilxar science advisor does some quick calculations and realizes that if humanity maintains this rate of advancement, within a decade they will possess technology that surpasses the Council's most advanced members. Casmer asks the obvious question: why did humanity hide this capability? Why fight the Cravathi with inferior ships and suffer devastating losses when they possessed weapons that could end the conflict? Cross's answer is brutally honest, because humanity needed to see how galactic warfare actually functioned. They needed to study Cravathi tactics, analyze their weapons, understand their strategic thinking, and they needed the galaxy to underestimate them, to view them as weak and irrelevant so that, when they revealed their true strength, the shock would be complete and absolute. Every human colony that burned, Cross admits, was a sacrifice on the altar of information. Every ship that died in combat provided data that refined the Midnight Sun's systems. Every desperate plea for help that the Council ignored taught humanity exactly how galactic politics worked and who could be trusted. The Terran Coalition fought for 3 years not because they were losing, but because they were learning. And now the education is complete. The meeting concludes with a new understanding. The Galactic Council formally recognizes humanity as a military power of the first rank and offers full membership, along with all associated trade rights and defensive treaties. The vote is unanimous, though several members abstain from the celebratory gestures. They have just witnessed the emergence of a species that went from primitive spaceflight to quantum-era superweapons in less than a decade. The implications for galactic balance of power are staggering. Word of the engagement spreads through the galaxy at quantum speeds. The Cravathi Dominion, faced with the reality that their expansion has hit an immovable obstacle, sues for peace within a week. They return all captured human colonies and agree to reparations. The treaty is signed aboard the Midnight Sun, at humanity's insistence. The symbolism is not lost on anyone. The species the galaxy dismissed as irrelevant now hosts peace negotiations in their warship. Other species begin requesting technological exchanges, hoping to acquire even fragments of human weapons technology. The Terran Coalition politely declines all such requests. They have learned another valuable lesson from the Council's earlier refusal to help. Knowledge is power, and power is not something you give away to those who would not help you when you were weak. The Midnight Sun remains at Kelvin Reach for another month, coordinating with the Council fleet and conducting joint exercises. Every engagement demonstrates human superiority in combat coordination, tactical innovation, and sheer destructive efficiency. The Council's military advisors take copious notes, trying to adapt their own forces to match even a fraction of human capabilities. They are, universally, unsuccessful. Human warfare is built on principles that most species find alien. Humanity fights not to achieve dominance but to ensure annihilation of threats. They do not seek honorable combat or measured response. They seek overwhelming victory through maximum application of force. Captain Cross receives a promotion to Commodore in command of humanity's growing advanced fleet. The second ship, TCS Aurora's End, completes construction and joins the Midnight Sun in patrol duties along the former Cravathi border. The third and fourth ships are accelerated to completion. Within 2 years, humanity will have a fleet of 15 advanced warships, each one capable of engaging entire enemy fleets independently. The story concludes with Ambassador Hayes addressing the Galactic Council 6 months after the Kelvin Reach incident. She stands in the same chamber where she was once mocked, but now every council member listens with full attention. She speaks about humanity's place in the galaxy, about the lessons learned and the prices paid. She thanks the council for their wisdom in allowing humanity to prove their worth, though her tone makes it clear that she considers their earlier refusal to help an act of calculated cruelty that humanity will not forget. Hayes announces that the Terran Coalition is establishing a new defensive doctrine. Any species facing unprovoked aggression may request human military assistance. Unlike the Council, which requires committee votes and political negotiations, humanity will respond immediately. Not because they seek to replace the Council's authority, but because they remember what it felt like to beg for help and be ignored. Humanity will never allow another species to experience that humiliation. The Council members shift uncomfortably. They recognize the implicit challenge. Humanity is offering to become the galaxy's protector, a role that has traditionally belonged to the Council's collective security forces, but they also recognize that they cannot stop it. Humanity has the power, the will, and the moral authority of having been abandoned in their own time of need. Any attempt to restrict human military operations would be seen as self-serving protectionism and might drive humanity to leave the Council entirely. Casmer, now serving as the Council's military liaison to humanity, stands and offers a formal acknowledgement. The galaxy has indeed changed, he states. The arrival of humanity has brought new perspectives, new capabilities, and new responsibilities. The Council welcomes humanity not just as members, but as partners in maintaining galactic peace. His words are diplomatic, but everyone in the chamber understands the subtext. The Council is accepting that they are no longer the supreme power. Humanity has arrived, and the balance has shifted forever. The final scene returns to the Midnight Sun, now flagship of humanity's advanced fleet. Captain Cross, now Commodore Cross, stands on the bridge looking at the tactical display showing 15 human warships on patrol across a dozen sectors. His executive officer, Commander Lisa Bennett, asks if he thinks the galaxy will ever truly accept humanity as equals rather than viewing them with fear. Cross considers the question and gives an answer that captures humanity's new position perfectly. Fear and respect are not mutually exclusive, he says. The galaxy feared humanity when they thought we were weak and desperate. Now they fear us because they know we are strong and competent. The difference is that now, when we enter a battlefield, they stop laughing and start listening. And that, he reflects, is all humanity ever wanted. Not worship, not submission, just the acknowledgement that when humans make a promise or deliver a threat, the galaxy takes it seriously. The story ends with the Midnight Sun jumping to quantum space, disappearing into the void to answer another distress call from another species that has learned that humanity keeps its promises, and that when one human ship enters a battlefield, everything changes.